What's going on, everybody? First of all, thank you to everybody for all of the love and support, for celebrating Curse's first birthday, first anniversary, not birthday. It's not. Anyway, thank you all for that. It's really been, I, it's been an emotional week. Just going back and thinking about everything that went into the book, all the sacrifices, all of the emotions, the blood, the sweat, the tears, everything that went into creating Curse over the 2-year journey from when I started up until release, and even after release, with the tours and getting to meet you all and talk with you and going and visiting schools and everything else like that. So it has been a journey. And with that said, I'm not even gonna waste too much time, and I'm gonna get right into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to do a Q&A, not a live Q&A, but you all sent me some questions. I had some things that I want to personally clear up or whatever, but it is going to be spoiler heavy. This is your warning. I'm gonna put it in the notes. I'm gonna put it in the title. We're gonna be talking spoilers, okay? So if you're seeing this and you want to, go check out Curse, or if you're in the middle of reading Curse, you haven't started yet, whatever, you should not be here. You can come and watch this video after it's all said and done, right? But it's been more than enough time, and I know people have wanted to talk about Curse and everything that happened and transpired in it. So let's jump into it. So we're gonna start right off with, why did that character, right? I know we said spoilers, but we all know who that character is, okay? Why did that character have to die? So I knew when I was writing the book that there were going to be stakes, right? That there was going to be somebody of significant importance to Cal and the story in general that was going to die, right? I don't, this isn't a Game of Thrones, so you're not going to be having character after character after character die, but there needs to be consequences. There needs to actually be things that happen. There has to be things that happen that hold weight, and one of those things is a character death, right? So we didn't necessarily have the most time with that character, but the time that we did have, he was impactful. They were impactful. All right, that was a slight spoiler, but it's all right. We're here now, right? So he was very important to the story, and throughout his short time, he was impactful for what he brought to the table, for what he brought to the story. And so I didn't know that it was going to be him, right? As I was writing it, I was like, all right, who's it going to be? Because I know I have some other deaths and everything else like that, but who could I have that people would care about, for one? Because if it's just some lonely grunt or something, you don't care anything about that at all. You know what I mean? Like, you're just whatever. But it had to be somebody that held some weight, not just for you, not just for me, but for Cal, right? So once it was decided it was going to be him, then it was all just figuring out how it was going to be done. And I think the way that it was done, it brought some frustration. It was a shock, but it also brought some frustration to everything. But it's good though. It made you feel, right? Because I got a lot of, not backlash, but y'all let me know. Y'all did not hold back, right? But yeah, that's why that character had to die, to be able to impact Cal in a way that was going to push his character forward. And on top of that, like I said before, like the world of Curse, it has consequences. The choices that you make hold weight, regardless of whether you do something or you don't do anything. Not doing anything is also an action, even though it sounds contradictory. So, yeah. All right. The next one up is romance. So, some of you all reached out and were like, why come there's no romance? Why come Rain and Cal don't, do the trope of, slowly but surely getting together? So my take on romance is not that I'm against it. It just needs to make sense. And right now, well, in general, in media, you have two people come together, um, and they're from the opposite sides of the track, so to speak, or whatnot. Then they come together from some tragedy or some type of life-altering event. They come together, they become closer, etc., etc., etc. And I get that. I'm not mad at that. Hell, I even love that myself. I like watching it. It's interesting to seeing people's different takes on it. My take on the whole romance thing is not to say that no romance would ever come to Curse, but the fact of the matter is it has to make sense. The story of Curse takes course over a couple of months. So with it taking over a couple of months, it needed to make sense. Things are happening for Cal fast, right? To you, the reader reading it, you know what I mean, it's even faster because there's times where he's working out his power, his curse, right? You don't see all the examples of that. You read and says like, oh yeah, I tried to do this and that, or even I was training with Star. So what happens faster for you with that amount of things, with time moving that fast and life events happening even faster, where is the time for romance? Where is the time for those two, if that was going to be the romance, right? Those two characters, where would they have the time to actually healthily, that's not a word, how would they find the time to, maybe this word, how would they find the time to go and do that in a healthy way? You know what I'm saying? Like in a realistic way. Because think about it yourself. If life has been lifing for you and things are going on left and right and none of it is exactly good, right? That doesn't mean that everything is like crap, but everything is just moving really, really fast. Are you going to start like a relationship or dating somebody if things are happening left and right? You don't even have time for yourself, let alone trying to invest into a relationship or dating somebody. At least you shouldn't, right? You have to have time to dedicate to that. Calvin doesn't have time. Time, if anything, is moving against Cal with everything, from him using his curse to Paul getting kidnapped to things going on with Jeffrey. It's like the whole nine, right? Time is just moving fast, so there isn't time to have a relationship at this point in time in the story of Curse. So yeah, that answers that. What have I learned? Oh boy. So I've learned a lot writing Curse. I've wrote poetry books before, but as far as the level of commitment, the level of time, sacrifice, and everything, Curse is on a whole nother level. So I had to learn a lot of things. I learned about IBMs and actually having ownership of Curse. Curse is mine. All of my poetry books are mine, but as far as Curse, like I can take it off of Amazon and I can go and I can sell it somewhere else. I own it. Not all of my poetry books are like that, because Amazon owns the IBM for it, so I can't take it off of Amazon. It's only going to be available on Amazon. You know what I mean? For some of the poetry books. So I had to learn that. I had to actually get an editor, because with my poetry, I do the editing, because nobody's going to tell me how it should be punctuated, how it should be sound, how it should be like not politically correct, but like, you know what I mean, right? So I learned a lot with Curse, from the business aspect side of it, all the way down to the creative side of it. I tried to write Curse in third person, so, you know, I could detail the whole room of how Red was feeling at a certain time, how Ren was feeling at a certain time, and then how Calvin was feeling at a certain time, all within the same moment. Like if we're talking about like towards the end of the book when it's just those three in the room, that could have been something that I did, but I felt like it was more personal or personable to write it from a first person perspective. But I toyed with that, right? And I think it came out for the better to write it in first person. So I learned a lot. I even learned a lot as far as spending money on it. I spent too much money on Curse. You live and you learn. But it's definitely something that I carry with me now, the knowledge that I have, to the next book, the next project, everything like that. Which moves us into, is there going to be another book? Yes. Not even gonna give you the runaround. There's gonna be another book. So currently, as it stands, there's going to be a trilogy. This is going to be a trilogy. So we'll already have Curse, then there'll be a second one, there'll be a conclusion in the third one. So a lot of you all that have certain burning questions plot-wise, I can't give you those answers yet, because it's going to be explored in the next book. Most of the most of the questions, like for instance, if you go back and read the book, it seems like Red not notices. Well, I guess it is a notice. So Red looks at Cal for the first time in person, right? Hasn't seen his face at all. Just knows of him by his reputation, of his curse and everything. He looks familiar. And that's all I can say on that currently right now, but that's going to be followed up in the next book. You know, so those sort of questions, those sort of little nuggets that you may have missed and everything is going to be followed up on. I didn't just do that to just leave you in the dark. There's even some things in which you all haven't even asked me, right? That is going to be revealed. And you're going to be like, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even know to ask that. I wouldn't even, let me go back and read, because it's going to be one of those kind of things. So I've already mapped out most of it. But yeah, it's going to be a trilogy. There is going to be another book in the series, for sure. Now, so why come, there's two characters that are both named J that interact, well, the letters start with J, and they interact with each other pretty frequently, right? So that's Jeremy and Jeffrey. That was an oversight. That was a creative oversight, right? I wanted Jeremy to take on the nickname, the monkey ear tats, because his body is covered with tats, right? And every time he uses his curse, one of the tattoos disappears. So his curse is a bit different from everybody else's. He knows, like, once he gets down to his last tattoos, like last two, like, he's like, all right, I can only use this curse 2 more times and then I'm out of here, right? So he knows when it'll be his time. So I wanted him to be going forward as Tats, but as I was writing the book, as I was writing it, it just made more sense to call him Jeremy, because the only person that knows him by Tats is Jeffrey, right? And like I said, like that's a creative oversight. I should have done better with that, so I wouldn't confuse you, the reader, on that. So I take ownership of that, right? That was my bad. Going forward in the series, there won't be any characters that have similar names, so you won't have to worry about getting confused. Like, oh, I thought this was such and such. Like, no, everybody's going to be distinctive with their names, also along with their personalities and things like that, right? And now that we're on the subject of characters and their powers, right? We talk about Red, right? Man, Red was great to work on. I love a good villain, but I also love a villain that you kind of hate to like, right? Or hate to love. It's granted, we don't get backstory on Red, but we do get just enough to be like, okay, I get what you're doing, why you're doing this. But also his personality plays a part in that. I love the fact that he's like a little bit, snarky, like he's a little bit sarcastic. It's his character was amazing to write, because I love that kind of villain, you know what I mean? Somebody that's a menace, somebody that's violent, somebody that's like evil, but at the same time, it's like, oh, like, you had a nice little one-liner there. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I see how you're talking to people. Like, this is kind of, it's kind of unsettling. You know what I mean? Because, like, you're this dangerous guy, but you're kind of cool. You know what I mean? So that's what I was going for with him. And another thing, too, I along with all of the characters that have curses, like, I wanted to try to do powers that haven't been seen or haven't been seen recently or a lot of. So for Red, for instance, Red, his power, his curse, the bone stuff, right? Him being able to have bones shoot up out of him, him being able to touch you and control your bone structure. You know what I mean? Like that stems from Spike from X-Men Evolution, because I love X-Men Evolution, and I've never even heard of Spike, seen Spike or whatnot, but having that power, having the spikes come out of you, like, I thought that would be cool. And then I was like, when I was creating a villain for Curse, I was like, I need to make sure that this guy has like a cool power, right? Something that's really menacing, something that's going to be downright terrifying. I think I did a good job with that, dealing with that with Red, for sure. Got a few more questions here. Evolution of Cal's powers. So towards the end of the book, we saw that Cal can now, Cal can also, in addition to just saying something and somebody just does what he says, he's able to command his body to do certain things, to change the fabric of his body, his DNA, right? So he wanted his body to be stronger, to be able to take the blows from Red. But not only that, he can do that to other people as well. So him being able to do that is an evolution, because that wasn't what he was able to do at the beginning of the book. And I thought that that would be a cool little wrinkle, another layer to like his character development, because now it's okay, what else can he do with his powers? Like, what's the limit? And as we go further in the series, we're going to go and we're going to discover that together, right? World building. The world of Curse is vast. I've done a lot of work. Some things you all don't even know about because I haven't even mentioned in the book. But there are certain things that once the next book comes out, you'll be just able to see just how vast it is. Because I wanted Curse to be kind of self-contained. I wanted it to be, first of all, it's an entry point, but I wanted it to just focus on a small people, small scale, a small group of people, handful of people. Now, I'm not saying that Curse is going to evolve and we're going to have 35 characters like a Game of Thrones or something like that. No, that's not what's going to happen. But as far as how the world works and what we know so far, it was done that way deliberately. Because the next book, we're going to expound upon that. We're going to expound upon curses in general, where they come from, how things came to be as they are, like who else knows about people with curses? Like, does it exist? Like, do people like know about it? Because in Curse, you like Paul mentioned that some people saw these people do incredible feats of strength or whatever, and it's like, that's really weird. But it's kind of like under the radar kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's no mass news about it or anything else like that. We're going to touch on that. We're going to dive into that within the next book. So with that being said, when is the next book, right? Because that's what majority of you are here to know, to want to know, right? But the answer to that is I'm not entirely sure. I did want to do a back-to-back year for it, right? Hit you with Curse, the first one last year, hit you with Curse this year, hit you with Curse next year. But how life is set up for me personally, that's not feasible at this point in time. So what I want to do and what I want to say, and I'm not going to say that I'm standing on this, I'm not standing on business, as the kids say, on this particular thing. It's going to be something that I'm going to monitor. Right now, I'm currently in the process of writing a second novel, right? And I want that to be the best thing ever when it comes out. I want it to be better than the first Curse. I'm going to take everything that I learned from the first novel and put it in the second novel and make it even better. All the feedback, the criticism, all of that, right? Right now, it's looking like next year. But there's a lot that goes into the novel. It's not just me writing it. It also has to be edited. It also has to have the art, right? The artwork, the cover art. Somebody to record the audiobook, right? The financing, like it's a big undertaking. Writing a novel at this particular level and what I'm trying to do with it is not anything that's small. It's a large undertaking. So I'm taking my time with it. So Curse 2, if all things go well, will be out next year. When? I don't know. That's what I'm hoping it's going to be next year. That's not a promise. It's not a guarantee it's going to be next year. But that's what I'm shooting for. Right? That's what I'm shooting for. And yeah, that's all that I have. Those were like the questions and things I wanted to share. If you all have anything else, go ahead, leave a comment, send a message. I will get back to you. I'll put up a little short video answering that question. It's all good. We're here now. We can talk freely about Curse. There's some things I'm not going to say because, again, it's going to be followed up in the next novel or so. But also, there's still people that haven't read it yet, right? So while this video is self-contained on spoilers and things like that, I don't want to just talk about it freely like my book has been out for the past 10 years or like millions of people have read the book so they already know. No, you know what I mean? So take that with a grain of salt. And yeah, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Again, if you got any questions, you got any follow-up questions, let me know. And I'll do my best to try to answer. Till then.